I get the impression that Tycho Brahe rejected being a Danish citizen forever. He rejected it. Brahe sought refuge in Prague at the dinner party this day in October 1601. He fell ill and died 11 days after. The cause of the death was written up to be urinary infection, but almost immediately after his death, until today, there have been rumors of something much more sinister than an accidental death: murder. Suspicion that Brahe may have been murdered has persisted through the centuries. Some people have had suspicions that his scientific competitor of the time, Johannes Kepler, might have been so jealous that he was maybe he had a motive to kill Tycho Brahe. But the new evidence, as I said in the beginning, there are two sources: the diary that has been revealed, and the new DNA. And then there are the studies by the Danish professor Peter Andersen, the professor of medieval Renaissance, or of the Renaissance and of medieval Germany and Europe. In 1991, Czech scientists took parts of his body, the hairs from his mustache, at the Prague National Museum, and they sent them off to some specialists in Denmark, where the results revealed a high concentration of mercury. And the analysis implicated suspicion of foul play, of murder, even then. But the evidence was not overwhelming enough to make the sensational news media of today. Among those who subscribe to the belief that Brahe was murdered is the foremost subscriber to the belief that he was murdered is, of course, the professor, the specialist, Peter Andersen, the guy who works at the University of Strasbourg in France. Andersen's theory behind Brahe's death is one his countrymen may not want to hear, Andersen says. And that is that the Christian IV, who evidently has been the most beloved of all the Danish kings, the most celebrated, because of his building of castles in the Renaissance style, and built fantastic gardens, many places in Denmark, and who has imported Renaissance music from especially Holland. He has been loved by the Danish people and is celebrated. He is the icon of Denmark's national identity. There are songs that celebrate at every single New Year. The Danish population sings songs celebrating King Christian IV, the murderer of Tycho Brahe. In Andersen's version of the events of the murder, in Andersen's version of the events, a close assistant of Christian IV arranged for Erik Brahe, a Swedish diplomat, to execute an order from King Christian IV to execute Tycho Brahe. Andersen was able to obtain Erik Brahe's personal diary and revealed its contents in 2008, claiming it laid out the details of the attack. That's how much of this detailed information actually includes an admission by the murderer. I can sort of question. But according to Andersen, if one gathers the information in the diary with the analysis, DNA analysis, then he claims that there is irrefutable evidence that that he was the murderer. Andersen says, I quote, "I have described all the details about the murder," Andersen said in a correspondence with the Copenhagen Post. He continues, "However, for political reasons, the smallest Scandinavian monarchy is still refusing to face the truth, pretending to ignore irrefutable evidence about the king's personal responsibility for the astronomer's sudden death." While Denmark has responded to Andersen's claims with what he calls sepulchral silence, or the silence of the coffins, he hopes that this week's exhumation will make Danes face up to the hard truth. Peter Andersen, the professor at the university, hopes that all of this information and these revelations will put things into proportion, will and not miscredit anyone, but credit those worthy of credit. Peter Andersen does not believe that Tycho Brahe is a person that Denmark can lay historical and scientific claim to. He believes that when Tycho Brahe died, and the period of his life in Prague was equal to his rejection of Denmark, and if one thinks about it, being persecuted, being forced to flee Denmark, everything that he built and made was destroyed. How could he possibly appreciate being a Dane? So Professor Andersen, he believes in Copenhagen there is a planetarium. The planetarium is called the Tycho Brahe Planetarium. And Professor Andersen does not believe that Denmark has any claim to calling it that, if by calling it the Tycho Brahe Planetarium is meant that this is a Danish historical person, a Danish scientist, because he has rejected Denmark. For all the rest of the information on this event, I recommend you check out especially the German Der Spiegel English edition on the German Der Spiegel English edition on Tycho Brahe and the new revelations. In addition to this, if you go to the YouTube search machine and write the Republic Oresund, then you will find my videos to Wien, the island of Wien. You will get some shots of Tycho Brahe, the observatory, and my Might be interesting. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.